Hello, everyone. This is MMA Interesting Prospects podcast. Today, our guest is Gabe Rednose, one of the best amateur heavyweight in the world. Hello, Gabe. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me on your show, brother. I'm a big fan.
Gabe, you in your last fight, I think that you fought against the toughest challenge of your career, but it looks quite easy from your side. So, if you can tell me, what do you think about your performance and overall the opponent that you faced?
Trey Cusack, he was ranked number one in multiple different weight classes and regions. So I was really excited to fight him because I'm trying to find the toughest tests, around that I could possibly find. Uh, I was happy that I got the victory, but I wasn't really happy with my performance. Leading up to the fight, I didn't like the day of, I didn't take proper nutrition going into the fight. Um, Before I even got into the cage, I was really dead. Like I hit an adrenaline dump before I even walked out. Didn't have any nutrition in my body that could, help me out and give me any energy. Um, so therefore, moving forward, I'm gonna take a lot better responsibility for my nutrition going into these fights. Um, so yeah, I was happy with my win, but he was for sure tough, and it was my first time going to the second round in my career. So that was cool. I'm prepared to go 3 rounds, but I didn't get to prove that, to my highest ability. It's a win, and you just kind of got to learn as you go. And moving forward, I will for sure make sure that I have proper nutrition leading up to these big fights.
And did you feel any additional pressure after the first round that it will be your like it's a rare thing that you are fighting in the second or probably a third round?
Um, no, because I know for sure that there's going to come a time to where I'm going to get tested to go all 3 rounds, which I'm prepared for. It's just that I tried to, I hit a Minari roll in like the first 10 seconds and my bottom foot got caught. So I tried to transition to a knee bar to try to get him out of there within the first 20 seconds. And I didn't feel comfortable. So I kind of just transitioned to something else. Um, you know, I, my performance was okay. I didn't get to show my full ability and what my true potential, what I'm capable of. So next time I'm in there, I'm going to make sure that everyone sees my full potential.
And this fight was in the cruiserweight division, right? The something between light heavyweight and heavyweight.
Correct. I typically fight at light heavyweight. Um, I fought a lot of my fights before 2022. I was a heavyweight. Um, I didn't really tap into my full potential yet. I was just never really, had a coach or a strength and conditioning coach or nutritionist or anything above. So I would just bump up to heavyweight and I'd probably walk around 250, 260 and just fight at heavyweight. Then I became a father and I took a year off and I realized I had to start leading by example. So I really buckled down on my fitness and buckled down on my nutrition and I lost almost 100 pounds. I got down to like 200 pounds. So I started fighting at light heavyweight. That's actually how I met my head coach now, Joe Stevenson. Um, I got a short notice call. They said, "Hey, we see that you've lost a lot of weight. Would you be interested in fighting this undefeated wrestler in the bordering state over Arkansas? He's undefeated. No one really wants to fight him. The fight's in 2 weeks. If you accept, we'll make it for a 205 title." And I think I was walking around at like 210, 211. So I was like, sure, I'll cut, 5, 6 pounds and make my 205 debut. Went over there. I got the TKO first round, and that's how I got introduced to Joe. And that's how I ended up representing Team USA at the IMAAF Pan-American Championships later on.
And please tell me about the tournament, the Pan American tournament. Was it like 2 days show?
Yeah, it was a 3-day tournament. You got depending on how big your weight class was. I think I had 3 fights to the finals, and then I ended up losing in the finals and bringing home silver medal. I was a little compromised going into that tournament. Excuse me. Uh, I tweaked my knee like the second week of my camp. I didn't go to the doctor or anything. I kind of just put it into the back of my head because I didn't want to have any built-in excuses leading up to this tournament because I already had a lot of pressure on me. Um, Turns out, I got caught in knee bar in the finals against a respectable opponent. I'd love to run it back with. I've tried multiple times now, but no response. Um, he was good and he was game. He caught me in a knee bar, so I had a opportunity, I had a chance, I had a choice to make. Do I, I'm a father, I work 50 hours a week, full-time job still. Do I let this guy rip my leg in half and, possibly have to sit out for a year and go through all the surgeries, or do I, tap and get out of there and still be able to go back home and go back to work? So it kind of put me in a little bit of a dilemma. And being a father, my family is my number one priority. So I had to, tap, and damage was still done. I got back to the United States and had full meniscus removal and MCL repair when I got back into the United States. And, that kept me out for about, 4 or 5 months. And then I finally started up again.
And I think that you made a right choice in the end of the day, because
Yeah,
you will be back in the cage sooner. You will be not like away from your like normal life. So I think that
exactly.
it was definitely a better choice to
For
make.
sure. For
Uh,
sure.
and what is your amateur record? Because on Topology I see 8-2 record, but I think that it's not full. I think that you have
Correct.
more fights.
Yeah, they're just missing one fight. I'm currently 9-2. I had a first round TKO that wasn't put on there in one of my fights from California.
So you are a little bit more experienced than the record, and of course the title also mean that you are like quite like experienced as the amateur.
Yes,
And
sir.
what do you think about, because your like amateur career is quite long one, because sometimes the fighters have like one or two amateur bouts, and what do you think are advantages or going for like longer amateur career?
Building experience, man. In my personal in my personal experience, I didn't have a coach. I didn't have a head coach or really a team. I trained in my garage for like my first 5 or 6 fights. Um, then I finally, would get in, and I met Joe, and that's when things kind of started turning around for me. So for really my first 5 or 6 fights, I didn't have a coach. I was just kind of winging it, I would say, and not really didn't really give it my all. I was just kind of half-assing it, and whatever happened, happened. I would just rely on, my wrestling background and heavy top pressure, ground and pound to get those guys out of there. And it worked up until it didn't. And that's when I started realizing, if I'm going to do this and take this somewhat serious, I need to find a real coach and a real team to get behind me.
And how good is Train under the Joe Stevenson, because he's a legend of MMA, of the UFC. He fought for the title. He fought against really many like top level guys. So how is to train under him and take the knowledge from such a knowledgeable guy?
I can't explain how much of a wizard he is when it comes to anything related to MMA or jiu-jitsu. It's like this guy is always, 3, 4 steps ahead at all times whenever he's cornering. He is by far, the best coach I've ever had when it comes to, MMA or jiu-jitsu. Um, he's just levels ahead, and he keeps you sharp, and it's been a real blessing to have him in my corner. He's for sure made a very big impact on my life thus far, and I'm looking forward to doing this journey with him by my side.
And do you have any like favorite moments of Joe Stevenson career?
Yeah, I really like his guillotine approach. He has one of the deadliest guillotines there is, and I've really have studied that to a T, and I've really tried to imply that towards my game. Um, I do jujitsu almost 5 times a week. It's probably like my favorite sport that I do right now. I kind of like. I'm not gonna say I like it more than MMA because they both have their pros and cons, but I for sure see myself doing jujitsu for the rest of my life.
And do you compete in any grappling competition, either gi or no gi?
Yep, I actually am have a competition coming up in 15 days down in Houston. I'm doing an IBJJF tournament down there in the gi. I'm one of the rare MMA fighters who like to put the gi on, and you know, uh, it's a whole different world. I really like testing myself and studying the gi game and learning a new approach to jiu-jitsu. The way I look at it is, if you can learn how to do something in the gi, 8 times out of 10 it'll transition over to MMA or no gi. So might as well just do it all. And I really like putting the gi on and competing in the gi.
Yes, but it's actually a quite rare thing because many MMA fighters like compete in no-gi competition. I think lately Demetrius Johnson fought in gi in some kind of championship like brown belt. But
Yes.
it's a rather rare thing to watch like MMA fighter with gi.
Yeah, so right now in Oklahoma City, I'm from Oklahoma, but I will fly out to California and do majority of my fight camps with Joe and my striking coach, Coach Luis, there at Cobra Kai. But right now I train under the American legend Rafael Lovato Jr. here in Oklahoma City. So he's a big gi and no gi guy. So I'm typically train gi and no gi multiple times each week, and you know just trying to surround myself with some of the best guys in the game and try to imply their games to mine and see what I can do.
So you are like taking the best looks from the like the best sources that you can get.
Yeah, I'm very blessed to be, Joe's the one who got me hooked up with Lovato, and it's been a very big blessing ever since. I've been training under Rafael Lovato Jr. for about a year and a half now. Um, it's really progressed my entire jiu-jitsu game, and I'm continuing to get better almost every single day. So, it's the best of both worlds. I have a really, really great MMA coach and a really, really great jiu-jitsu professor. Tie in right into my game, and they're both dominant in everything they did, and it's really great having these guys in my corner.
And what would you say is like the one thing, let's say one thing that you need to improve in your overall MMA game? Do you have something specific that you know that you should work on?
Of course, everything. I'm not perfect by any means. My striking needs work, my ground game needs work, being more comfortable in the pocket. There's a whole list of things that I could go on and on about. I'm just trying to, each time I step in the cage, I'm trying to be the best version of mixed martial artist I can be.
And right now you are like top guy in the heavyweight division as the amateur. I think that all over the world. And what do you think it should be next for you? Because you fought as the heavyweight, you may fight in the light heavyweight. So what is the plan for next few months?
I'm taking it one day at a time. I haven't really released this to the public yet. I'm making my professional debut in December for Cage Warriors here in San Diego, in the United States. They're a great promotion, and they're a great promotion that could possibly get me to where I want to end up. Um, so I'm really excited about that. I'll be making my professional debut at 205 pounds light heavyweight, and then maybe in the future I'll move down to middleweight. We'll just see how 205 goes. Typically, I don't fight at heavyweight anymore just because I'm only walking around at like 220-ish. So that's kind of small for heavyweight, I feel like, because there's some monsters out there who are cutting just to get the 265 limit. And I feel like my chances would be better at, dropping down to 205 or maybe 185 in the future.
So I think that it's a cool thing that you will make your pro debut on Cage Warriors because it's a big like European promotion, and they like you usually do a shows in San Diego. So I think that it will be good chance to show your skills in front of like broader audience.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. Cage Warriors is a, fantastic promotion. They're very big, like you said, in Europe. They're making their way over to the United States. I think they do quite a bit of events here, maybe like 4 or 5 events a year, which would be perfect for my schedule. Um, yeah, I'm just really looking forward to making my professional debut on their show.
And is that the contract with Cage Warriors like exclusive one, or do you have a chance for let's say after the December fighting for other promotion?
Yeah, I haven't signed a contract with them yet. I'm sure it'll just be maybe a one fight deal for now, and then if things go good and I want to look to fight for them for multiple fights, I'm sure that we could work that out. Or if I want to venture out and fight for other promotions as well, I'm sure that will be okay as well.
And I think that right now in US there are so many great like regional promotion, but also the high level one like LFA. A1 Combat, CFFC, Fury FC. So there are so many great shows. So I think that there is always need for like bigger guys in this kind of organization, because they usually are the bantamweight, featherweight, lightweights.
Exactly.
But I think that the light heavyweights are like always needed.
Absolutely. And I think that plays to my favor because the Cage Warriors 205 title is vacant right now. And I haven't seen a lot of 205ers fight here in the United States. So I think that could go to my favor as well. Maybe get on a couple fight win streak and then, maybe propose a title shot in the future if everything goes well. My teammate, you may know him. His name is Robert Greenlight Hernandez. He's a featherweight that fights for Cobra Kai, and he's actually main eventing Cage Warriors San Diego there in December, and he should be fighting for the title very, very soon. I think he's on like a six fight win streak for Cage Warriors. So that's cool, to have him there, and we'll be both fighting on the same card.
Yes, and there were like American contenders fighting for this Cage Warriors titles. I think that few times. So I think that is good. Like do the Europe against US, something like this.
Yeah, very cool. Be cool. That's one thing I like about MMA is that it brings all different kinds of people together. Whether you're fighting each other or your friends. If you're a true mixed martial artist, I feel like no one's really your enemy. You're just in there. It's all business, and then after you guys get done, you can go get a beer after or whatever it may be, and it's a celebration of countries coming together and just competing against each other.
And what is like a main goal for you in MMA? Do you want to be signed with the UFC in a few years, or you like considering other options like Bellator, PFL, other like big promotions?
Um, you know, I'm I'm happy with going anywhere. I don't care who I fight for. I'm a father of two young kids, so my main goal is just to stack up their bank accounts and have a good savings account for them in case anything ever happens to me. So I'll fight for anyone if they pay me what I want. So it don't matter the promotion to me. My main goal is just to get paid for my kids.
And let's say that you can fight against any fighter in the world. Let's say from light heavyweight division in the like dream fight scenario fight. Who do you like to face and pick?
That's a very good question. I've trained with John Jones and Dominic Reyes, both really, really top tier guys. So that's cool, kind of getting a little hint of, like what it takes to compete at that level. I wouldn't mind. I know that Fedor is a heavyweight, but it'd be cool to fight against him just because a lot of people consider him one of the greatest ever. So a dream matchup would probably be against Fedor just because he has that knockout power and can, hit you in a split second and put you out. So that'd be cool to test myself against someone like that one day, maybe.
And his frame was more of the light heavyweight than heavyweight
Exactly.
because he was a little bit like he can lose some pounds, let's say.
100%. Yeah, I agree.
And about your training with like John Jones or Dominic Reyes, I mean, how did it feel to train with such a great guys? Because John is probably the best fighter in the history of the sport, and Dominic Reyes in one point he was so close to beat John Jones, so it's like also it was a top level.
Yeah, it's been great. I'm just trying to learn and soak up as much knowledge as I can from these guys. Um, there's for sure levels to this game, and when you compete against guys like that, you'll find out very quick. Um, it's just been a blessing overall. Dominic Reyes is one of my main training partners. Whenever I go train at Cobra Kai with Coach Joe, he really comes in and gives me really good looks in all aspects. So just training against those guys, I just try to soak up as much knowledge as I can and utilize them in my camps and just try to learn from them as much as I possibly can.
And do you like watching MMA fights or UFC fights?
It's funny. I was actually having a talk with my girlfriend, the mother of my kids, the other day that, it's very common for Americans, to grow up like watching like the NFL, like football. Um, and I guarantee you, my kids have grown up watching more MMA than any other sport there is. It's just, every weekend we're probably watching a fight, whether it's one championships, UFC, Dana White Contender Series on Tuesdays, whatever it may be, Fury FC fights on Sundays. Typically there's always an MMA fight going on somewhere in my house. So um, I watched them a lot. I try to study, I say study, but I can always learn something from, any fight, any weight. I always try to just keep my eyes open and watch how the other guys perform and see if I can adapt and, use that in my game.
And do you have a fighter in the UFC that you like watching? That is your favorite fighter to watch?
Yeah, coming from a jiu-jitsu background, I really like watching like Charles Oliveira, Islam. Those guys are some insane grapplers and, some of the best to do it. So typically if you're a big jiu-jitsu fighter, I will watch your game just because it's similar to mine.
Yes, there are a few fighters like Charles Oliveira or Paul Craig who are
Paul
super
Craig is
dangerous
a good one. Good.
in every position. It's like super dangerous. Like usually in MMA, if you are on the top, you are in the better position. But with these
Exactly.
guys, you are not really.
Triangles arm bars are coming up every second. You got to be ready to defend against Paul Craig. He's a beast. He actually has a pretty good fight coming up. I'm excited to watch that.
Yes, I agree. It will be a like very good main event because Brandon Allen is also like top right now is he's probably top 10, but I think that he has so great potential that he can be top 5 or top
I
3.
agree. I agree. I agree. That's a very good matchup to for both of them to fight. Plus Paul Craig recently coming down to 85. That's really interesting. And he was a beast at 205. He was top 10 in the 205. I think he'll do well at 85 as well.
And like you said, there are so many great organizations, and I think that UFC Fight Pass is so great like source for watching the either fighters or like specific fights because you can gain like many knowledge from these fights. And also a few weeks ago there was a bare knuckle show of Jorge Masvidal. And
Yes.
do you like this like kind of form with like MMA without gloves?
I mean, they're paying people like crazy. So I'm actually in a group to where Dean Tool is always looking for fighters to fight on there. And they're paying people pretty good to try that bare knuckle MMA. I don't know if I would ever do it, but I mean, the price was right. I'd probably give it a try.
I was really interested about this show because the main event, because it was Fabricio Verdum against JDS. So it was like a rematch after 15 years, I
Yeah,
think. So it was kind of crazy.
yeah, that was for sure. I watched the highlights of that.
And right now we are a very good, like prospering MMA fighter. But let's say that if you wouldn't be an MMA fighter, who do you think you would be as the professional with your life?
Like, what do you think I would be doing if I didn't
Yes,
do MMA?
yes.
Well, right now I work for a casino. I'm in the IT department, so I basically work on all electronics, access points, computers, smart boards, laptops, cell phones, all of the above. I actually help manage over 1,000 end users through my network. So I'm pretty happy doing that. I've learned a lot. I've been doing it for about 4 years now. Um, my dream was always to become a firefighter when growing up. Uh, I haven't really put much thought into anything else besides, MMA. Really, this like last 2 years, I've hit it really hard. Luckily, I have a great job and a great career to where, they honor my schedule and they really work with me, with my practices and taking off for fights and everything. So right now, I'm really blessed just to have this job and, all the freedom that comes with it. And I can still work, 40, 50 hours a week and still train on top of that.
So it's like a perfect situation for you because you are like not like banking on fighting all the time, but you have a like regular job, but still you can go train, improve your skill, and maybe after some time you like quit your job and be like top level guy in one of the top promotions.
One day, that's a dream for me to make happen. I'm blessed with my sponsors that I have now. I'm trying to slowly make my way towards getting enough monthly sponsorships to where one day maybe I can stop working full time and maybe drop down to part time and shift my focus over to more full time training.
And how do you deal with this stress before your fights?
I get competition anxiety very bad. I have my entire life, since I was probably like 6 years old when it's, pee-wee wrestling all the way up to high school wrestling, all the way up to college wrestling. Even before my jiu-jitsu matches, I get pretty nervous. Um, Even like in my MMA fights, if I know I'm gonna go out there and smash this dude in a minute, I'm still in the back with the bucket, throwing up and having anxiety like crazy. Uh, I was always told though, if you weren't nervous before a fight, then something was wrong. Um, so I kind of just take it as it comes and just deal with it. And I try to really learn how to, turn that anxiety into fuel and turn that into, positive energy to get me through my fights.
And I think that you are turning it very well because of your results. You maybe like have problem before the fights, but results are great. So it can be better for you because if you wouldn't be stressed, maybe something better would happen in the fight.
Exactly, exactly. So, nerves are good. Nerves are good to an extent, and I just try to use them as best I can. Sometimes they get the best of me, and the best thing you could do is just learn from that, and try to make it happen a different way the next time it comes around.
And you are fighting in MMA. You have a job, you have a kids, and do you have time to have any other like passion or hobby, something to like have your mind on when you don't want to think about fighting?
Yeah, I really enjoy hanging out with my kids and girlfriend. We'll typically we like going to like taking our dogs to the dog park, or taking my kids to the park, or maybe the movies. Nothing crazy. Typically, I'm either I don't get out very much. I typically just as long as I'm with my kids and with my family at home, I don't care what we're doing. Just spending that quality time together and being with each other is enough for me. So don't really matter what we're doing as long as we're together.
And I have a like one last question. I usually ask this question when I'm talking to fighters who are from Oklahoma. Did you watch Tulsa King?
Did I watch what?
Tulsa King with Sylvester Stallone.
Yes, yes.
And
His
how did you like it?
It was all right. It was a pretty good movie. Sylvester's an OG, so he's pretty good at what he does. So I was a fan.
Yes, I think that the first season there is only first season, but it was a very good because it was like a mix of the
Yeah,
like action
exactly.
drama, a little bit of comedy. So it was like really cool to see even that Sylvester Stallone is like rather like on the second part of his life, let's say, but
Yeah,
it was really cool to watch him again.
I agree. He's a very great actor, and I enjoy watching what he does.
Okay, Gabe. So many thanks for this conversation. I will be like watching willingly your debut in December. I think that it would be a great show because it's Cage Warriors, and I hope that in maybe next year or in 2025 you will be close to one of the bigger organization because sometimes you don't need to have like 20 fights. Sometimes it's like 6-0, 7-0, so you might be quite close to being signed with one of these bigger promotions.
I appreciate it, sir, and I'm a big fan of all your content, and I really appreciate you having me on